Adventurous kids explore with education and learning what a wildlife is in the Everglades. I want to explore the Museum of Discovering Science. What plants do butterflies like? I want to know about Key West. Adventurous kids, learning and fun. Adventurous kids!
The Adventurous Kids show went to the Gourmet Gardeners, which is an edible garden company helping South Florida grow nutritionally dense vegetables, fruits, and herbs year-round. Ian is an expert in sustainable agriculture, specializing in urban farming. Farmer Ian never uses pesticides or synthetic chemicals to grow food, and as a chef he knows that taste and flavor is best served fresh from the garden. As a master gardener and the coordinator of the Broward Education Foundation's Garden Delights program for years, he has assisted with the gardens at nearly 100 county schools, community gardens, and homes as well. No one assists in the growing of more food throughout Broward County than Farmer Ian. Audience, enjoy the gardening of the Gourmet Gardeners.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Wonka Farm out here in Sunrise, Florida. It's been a while since we've been on camera. Luckily we have a new videographer here to show us and take us on a trip into the Wonka Garden where everything is edible. As you can see, we're getting ready for our Saturdays here on the farm where we invite people over. Over here we just have some of our starter plants that we've actually started from seeds, and as you can see we sell them here $3 each, 4 for $10, or if you buy in bulk we'll include even more. As we continue down, we're getting ready for our hydroponic class demonstration today, where later during this filming we're going to go through and take you on a tour on many different ways of growing hydroponics. One of the ways that you can see here is obviously through the Vertigrow tower system, where we have about 48 individual towers that are actually growing food from seed and will give us a faster turnaround than on any other type of growing. As you come into the garden itself, you see we've got our reservoir tanks here, which again will explain how the distribution of nutrients will take place later during the demonstration. And then here we just have all of our raised beds where we actually go from seed to plant, and you can see our tomatoes, which are about 2 weeks old, and in here you can actually see we've got physical fruit, peppers growing on the vine, and here we just pick a fresh jalapeno. And it just keeps on going. We're out here 7 days a week doing this. We only open up on Saturdays for classes once a month, and then we're open for appointments only. So if you're interested, check out the website, www.thegourmetgardeners.org, or hit me up on Gmail, iiwgourmetgardener@gmail.com.
Growing crops closer to home is better for the environment. Crops grown very far away have to be shipped in vehicles which pump pollution into the air. Growing crops locally helps reduce pollution.
What is our water, which is in the tank, which is in the system, and which is needing to be treated, which is why they're all different colors.
If you grow tomatoes in your garden, watch out because common throughout North America, the tomato hornworm is one of the most destructive pests of tomato, potato, pepper, eggplant, and tobacco plants. These worms are the caterpillars of the five-spotted hawk moth. They consume entire leaves, small stems, and sometimes chew pieces from fruit. Despite their large size, hornworms are often difficult to spot because of their protective coloring. Growers will often find large areas where feeding has occurred before they see this garden pest. Damage is most often noticed in midsummer and continues throughout the remainder of the growing season. Hand picking is an excellent tactic for control if you have the time and patience or a small garden. The caterpillars are not dangerous and can neither sting nor bite. If you are squeamish about crushing these large insects, drop them into soapy water instead. If the hornworm population or the area of your garden is too large, insecticides can be effective, though they should be a last resort. Insecticidal soaps will also kill hornworms, but the pests need to come into direct contact with the substance.
And bring back you to work. That's what they would do to me in the hotel. I don't mind. A DIY, low-cost, hydroponic garden that anybody can make, leave on their patio. And this is actually the first garden I ever made living in New York City. On the 9th floor in a studio apartment on my balcony. With regular, horrible, city-treated tap water, in which ideally we'd like the tap water to be dechlorinated before we actually add our plants. And by filling this up and leaving it outside for 24 hours in the sun, the water will become dechlorinated, so no chlorine. And as you know, chlorine is what goes into pools to keep the algae away, and it also acts to kill our plants. At least 3 days before I actually put those plants in. We're doing a basic pH test with an H&M tester. So what this does is electronically measures the pH just like we have here in a testing situation, which this is manual and this is actual. So you can see where this water here is the water that we filled the orange bucket with right from the tap. It's registering 7.6, 7.5, 7.6, 7.7. If I let it sit, it's going to stay there. But if you notice that if we then go to our guide, even though the water is not technically blue, if I was going to add the chemical tester to it, just like you would do in a swimming pool, it would turn it that color blue. And that's not good for our plants. So by watering with just tap water, you're actually stifling your plant growth, because ideally you want to be here between 5.5, 6.0, and 6.5 at the highest. And in order for me to reduce that pH, I'm going to have to add some type of acid, which I could buy a product called pH down. This is the pH up variety, because obviously I don't have to raise the pH, but I need to lower the pH. So in doing such, I'm able to easily lower that pH by simply adding an acid, some type of acid. So this is straight distilled vinegar. I could also use lemon juice. Either way, that will actually lower this temperature, this actual gauge, and we'll do that during the class when people are here, because I don't have that much water samples. See the difference? Right? We notice the difference, right? Because we've added the chemicals needed for the towers. So if we get our, this is perfect. 6.3 is perfect to grow the variety of peppers that we have on this tower. So we're in range. And we want to do this every day when we're growing hydroponically. This is the first thing I do every morning is I come out and I check to make sure that the pH of my water system is accurate. Because if not, I'm going to be feeding these guys the wrong type of food. And that's going to be a problem for the plants. But as you could see, 6.2, 6.3 is perfect. The tap was what? 6.7, 7.3. It's on film. I might not remember it offhand, but you can go right back, hit reverse, rewind, and you'll see what the pH was of the original water. Bell peppers. So you see the root development there? That's exactly what you want. And that comes off of one of these seed starting trays. And then what I basically do is just kind of pop it into its home, which is a nestling cup. But you could actually use any kind of cup. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to step around. Now that I've got the elongated roots, I just fit it into my neatly made little cup.
Fits like a glove.
Fits like a glove because I pre-measured. Is the quality and the consistency of the water running through the towers. Now, I did a quick tap water test, okay, straight out of the house, straight out of what the city is giving me, and I'll show you two different methods. Obviously, we've got the old-fashioned, I have a swimming pool taking a pH measurement, where you put some drops into the container, the drops will change color, and then you will get the range, acid, base, to where your pH is. And if you want to come later and take a look at it, you're more than welcome to, and actually have a chart that shows you where your pH should be. So if we were to look, and I highly recommend, rather than those little methods, to invest in one of these things. They're about 30 bucks. But if I were to just kind of put this in here, give it a quick stir, you'll notice where my pH is instantly.
That's too high, right?
Way too high. Way too high.
Careful.
So you see, this gives me the number versus a this. Is this a 7.2 or 7.4? I don't know. But if I go with this, I'm more secure. And 6.5 to grow just about everything. Okay? So if I were to, and we did this before, we'll walk over and we'll take a reading of the buckets, and I explain how the system actually works. You'll notice, and it's on film already, that we're at about 6.4. 6.5 in each of the different bucket systems that I have, which will feed these lines of food. And if I were to have it too low, the only thing I could grow too low would be strawberries. So what I tend to recommend, and in strawberry season, because somebody requested from me strawberry plants or seeds.
When is their season?
End of November, December planting. I don't plant from a seed. I plant from a rootstock that I get from, believe it or not, ready for this? I get it from Canada.
Wow.
Okay? They grow a great variety of a greenhouse type of strawberry, big, plump, ever-bearing through season, and I get it as a dry stalk. And we just plant the dry stalk. But if I were utilizing a method like this, I would not be able to grow strawberries with, let's say, peppers. Peppers like to live somewhere in the 6.5 zone. Strawberries like to be in the 5.5 zone. That's a whole, that's a whole difference in terms of where we're at. Now, even in soil, if I was going to plant the strawberries in the soil, I'd have to get a reading of what my pH in the soil is, so that basically I understand how I'm bringing that soil pH down to give me that lower level. And that's easy to do. And I would work with you to do that. There's a product that I use. It's obviously not out here. It's in the mix of my soil blend. It's called pine bark mulch. And actually it's very acidic. So when gets wet, it'll bring the water pH down through the soil, because as it decreases and eliminates itself, it will release decay into the soil base, so that the soil will go from, let's say, a 7, an 8 to a 5.5. And we just regulate that, and we take the pH readings.
How can you control though? How do you know it's low?
Well, what we'll do is we'll take a soil sample, we'll put it in a container, we'll shake the container up and let the container sit for a half hour, and then we take the this water sample for the pH. And that will tell us. And it's just like anything else, because if I wanted this, which we now know is 7.4, if I wanted this to go to this, what do you think I would use?
You told me
Anyone?
lemon juice or vinegar.
Right, lemon juice or vinegar, any kind of an acid. Now, to raise it, you could buy products in any store called pH up or pH down. This bottle is 20 bucks. Distilled vinegar is by the gallon. $2 at Walmart the other day, so I keep gallons of it and I just use that. So what I do is keep a handy little squirt bottle full, and anytime I go out to the garden, because again, first thing I'm going to do is check the pH of my towers.
How often do you do that?
Every other day.
It's almost like a job.
It is a job. It is a job. Just like the more of a garden you have, the more of a job it's going to be.
And if my tower's pH is off, how am I adjusting it with the vinegar?
Or the pH up, but you're never going to go up.
So it's
Because
always-
there's water.
Okay.
And again, as long as your water in your reservoir tank is at a good level, you're going to refill the reservoir tank, probably at least once a week.
Okay.
And every time you fill the reservoir tanks, you're going to be adding an amount of nutrients, which in the nutrients, which you have, if not, we sell, we replenish. But we've got 2 different nutrients that go into these towers, which substrate is in the same world as what's in the soil, but into a chemical basis, so that there's no soil, which means there's no microorganisms growing in it, no worms, no harmful bacteria. So it's basically, and you could read it, I've got these little cards here, which tell you exactly what it is. And it's the same as if you were to buy fertilizer that you add to your soil. So, one is calcium, 1500. That is just mineralized salt, like Epsom salt. And it comes, literally I buy it by the pounds for packaging and supply. They sell it from the company direct. So this amount, pre-done, will make a 1 gallon concentrate. Then we mix these together, the concentrates, to whatever amount of water that we're refilling the tank. This might become complicated, but it's all in the notes. So, and with the charts of how much nutrients you would be adding in. Just like if you were going to be growing in soil. The first thing everybody always does is they say to me, Ian, how come I'm not getting any fruit? Why is my plants dying? And Ian always says to them the same old first question. Then I got that same old silly look. The question is, what are you feeding your plants? The look is like this.
Feeding them?
What do you mean
Like they're
feeding
supposed
them?
to feed
I
themselves.
just watered them. What do you mean? Water. I just gave them water, and I just told you, you didn't feed them, you actually poisoned them. Because you gave them 7.5 city, I don't care if you're in Hollywood, Sunrise, Tamarack, they all treat the water. They all add extra chlorine to kill off all that, and they add fluoride and all this other CRAP. So again, even in the soil that we're adding water to, what's in the soil? Because if the plant is eating and taking up that food, it's depleting the soil of all the food. So how often are you feeding the plants? Me, since I've got this stuff around, I feed them this stuff. This is good stuff. So it's actually in the mix of my plants. And then as I'll come through and water with either a compost tea, there'll be these minerals in it. There'll be trace minerals. The average day of watering for most of the tower on the hydros is coming from the buckets, which we'll take a walk over there and we'll see. The other water that's coming from Mother Nature or from the city sprinkler system, I've got on an R&O, I've got it on a filtering system. But it still will need me to feed it, so that I'll come through and feed these plants at least once a month. And I will use a product, since we're not really talking about plants in the ground, I use a product called 405, which the numbers are 4 nitrogen, 0 phosphorus, and 5 on the potassium, because we don't need the phosphorus in Florida in our soil. But this tells you what it is. So we've got 1500, and that gets mixed with a 6, 12, 28 for the towers. And what we do is we'll take each one, we'll keep them, we'll pour them in together. So over there where we're going to go look for where I add them, you go by the amount of liquid that you could actually physically fill the tower with. So if I have a 55-gallon bucket, I have to put in about 41 ounces of each of the product to that 55 of concentrate to the 55-gallon container, and that'll pretty much last me about a week of feeding. But if you think about things, and in the return on investment, if it'll take me 45 or 50 days of ground planting to produce a pepper, and I can produce that same pepper in 30 days, isn't it that much more valuable to me as somebody producing food for
Is that plant
to
to harvest?
harvest? 1 month, it depends on what you're growing.
Really?
So you know, when you go behind, and you're more than welcome, okay? On the towers right now, there are peppers. They were planted 35 days ago from a seedling starter plant.
Is that how you do? You start them here first, not in the tower.
I directly seed certain things directly into the tower.
How do we know which?
If you, depending upon what it is that you're planting, you send me a list of what you're planting, I'll tell you what's the easiest way to go.
I know that.
Because again, and even with the pepper plant, if you notice on a lot of the pepper plants, you're going to see a stick in the actual styrofoam.
Are these in soil?
These are in coconut.
That's the mix that I
That's
use in there.
yes.
Okay.
So this
Coconut
becomes
hair?
coconut core, which is this.
Yeah.
So it comes in a bigger block, it comes in a lesser block, and we mix it with perlite. So here's the mixtures: perlite, coconut core mixture, seedlings.
Do you sell those trays?
I can get them for you.
But the smaller ones, don't you, Ian?
I have smaller seed starting trays that you'll be better off with.
Yeah.
Because this is a 220 tray.
And that mixture is only good for planting in hydroponics, or is it?
It has no nutrients in it. So if I were to plant this into the beds, which I do, so if we'll walk around and you'll see how the step up is. I always start with these because I have what you'll see in a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, is I have these NFT floating beds. Literally 4 by 8 beds that are basically pools. Set up with water system that'll remove the water. And what I do with that is I'll plant the seeds in these trays. These trays float so that underneath they'll develop their root system. This is only about 2 weeks old. This is all arugula. So from here I would take these guys and plant these guys into the tower. I don't know what the seedlings are going to do, but I know that these, the seeds are going to do, but I know these seedlings are already sprouted.
But that's not the best mixture for a soil bed.
Absolutely not. Absolutely. This is just 2 of the ingredients that go into what I create as a 10 ingredient mixture. And if you're interested in that mixture, I actually have it made for me up at a place up north in Waxahachie. It's that mixture. So that potting mix that I have in the bags out front has the micronutrients already added. We worked on that blend about 7 years ago when I was at the Urban Farming Institute. Same with that 405 solution, the fertilizer. Because again, we want to be scientific and go about this thinking about nutrients and what plants need. And if you really think about it, and talk to scientists who grow for a living, who grow for the universities, there are 75 different trace elements off the periodic table that go into organic planting. Now, the bags of soil and stuff that you get at the local Lowe's or Home Depot has none of that. None of that. They buy it in such big quantities, it's probably sitting out on the block for a year until you get it. It's dead. So you still have to revitalize that soil. So especially every year, as I go year to year, I solarize my beds. I don't know, does anybody know what solarization is?
Then you cover it up.
I cover the beds up with a black plastic so it cooks everything underneath so I don't have anything stirring, no weeds. I take the plastic off. It's not a weeded out bed that I have to split.
Question?
Yeah.
At the end of my school year, I was going to do that with my bed, but I had that eggplant plant growing. I just covered up everything around it.
What I would do is replant the eggplant.
It's huge.
No, you would just take out the root ball
Plant it where?
in a big bucket, which you're going to be going.
You saw how big it is.
I saw how big it is, but the root ball is still only about that, maybe this.
It looks like it's a tree stump.
So I would cut it back, and then there's a couple of things I'll show you, especially because again, even with tomatoes, if I wanted to, and I'll show you this. I'll go get the piece that I have. I did it already. It's for my next class. So if I were to take off a tomato leaf, and I were to splice this down the center, and remove some of the leaflets off of this, and I'll show you guys before you go. And I put this into water, I'll get a whole other tomato plant from the root hairs. And I've got one, like I said, I've been going for about a week now, 10 days. There's plenty of root hairs. I can plant. That's the root. So I can take that as is and plant it in the pot for my next round of tomatoes. So what I'll do is I'll stagger, and you'll see as you walk through these beds, the back beds, because of the amount of sunlight that I still have this cover on, don't get as much daily sun. They're going to be my second planting, so that I have the second generation coming after the first. Plant the second, the first will get harvested, then I'll plant the first again. So you see, I'm always bearing fruit from the trees. And again, the most important thing, and this is why I set this guy up. This is why I set this guy up for you, just so it's a visual. So as I take these plants, and I carefully take them out, you see how nicely they formed in the coconut with nice root bearing. All I'll basically do is I'll shake off the water, shake off the excess, so that I just get the root stem, and then I'll plant it as I did into this bucket. And I did that during the week so you can see the physical growth. And these are different plants, lettuces and such, but you can start to see the way the roots are actually forming to take up to the plant. And this is cool just for the kids to see in the classroom. I figured you like that one.
Yeah, I'm not smiling.
I know. But I can do the same thing. And I was mentioning to one of the guests this morning, the first hydroponic garden I ever did was when I was right out of college, living in New York City, and I had a walk-up studio, and I wanted to grow food, and I didn't know how. So I just bought myself a Homer bucket, drilled some holes with a door hole cutter to the size of my netting cup. You don't even need to buy these. Go get a plastic cup at the store. Poke holes in the bottom of a cup. As long as you have somewhere to let the roots grow, I guarantee if I put this in here, put this in here, in 10 days I'll have root growth. Easy as could be. But again, I just pointed this out so you guys can see physically.
What's in that water?
Just plain water from the tap, which I know is 7.4, which I've then lowered to the right pH, and then I added a certain amount of chemicals based upon the 5 gallon. So there's math involved here. This is all STEAM for the kids in the schools, because if I have a 5 gallon versus a 55 gallon, how much nutrients do I put in? 4.1.
Yeah, 4.1 instead of 41.
Good job. Good job.
Art teacher.
Yeah. But again,
Man.
very good. I wouldn't have known. I would have looked at my chart.
Well,
I would have. Again, I grow plants. I don't need math. But I won't tell the kids that. But yeah, it's like I said, and it's what I do is we aerate the water. So the only addition I would have to this, I would have one of these tubes in this running this all the time, so that the water is not stagnant. And in something like this, I'd probably have to change the water out every week. This I'd probably change out every week. Those in the buckets don't get changed out because they just flow.
Why do you have to change it?
Because it's sitting inside itself. The plant is taking up the nutrients. The nutrients will be dissolved. The water will just be H2O with nothing in it.
you can't add more
You
nutrients.
can add more nutrients to it. I just don't want you to
Do
start
you have
growing
a problem
algae.
with TDSs then?
You will have problem with TDS, but you don't need to worry about TDS because you're not really in a major system. It's if you
Totally
total,
dissolves all.
yes, that's the amount of floating particles in solution based upon the million parts per million. But you don't need to know that because again, once you go through this little amount, you're not having parts per million. So
You have super high TDSs, your nutrients you put in
work, they don't get absorbed.
What causes the
excessive.
Yeah, over chemical, and especially over fertilization.
Exactly.
The runoff of the chemicals from when they mow the lawn, the runoff of that puddle that's sitting there stagnant all day. You don't realize it, but when it gets into the water system, it will affect. That's why I check the water all the time. Now, I'm going to show you, there's actually going to be two different systems of hydro right here alone. Then we have this floating NFT system, which again is all in the paperwork. And then there's the ebb and flow method, which those tables are on, which means when the water gets below a certain level, it'll recycle itself to refill it back up to a certain level. So it's kind of like a suction cup drawing up and drawing down. And that will tell me where I'm at. It's really simple to set up. It's just a question of what the investments are that you're willing to make. Again, I represent the company that manufactures and sells these things. We've been in Disney for almost 30 years. All these things have a lifetime warranty to them. And one of the things I want to show you is basically how they come.
Disney excited me 30 years ago.
It still excites me. It still excites me when I go there because it's amazing.
I remember going on that.
So here's
Exactly.
here's an example of a VG1 tower, which I'm going to show you. It's over there already set up, but it literally comes with everything. So rather than going to try to piecemeal and buy the right pump or buy the right timer, buy the right amount of perlite and coconut, it already comes, and it already comes all mixed up. So, and it takes me about 15 minutes to set up like that. It comes with the chemicals, but you see here's the perlite and everything already mixed up. It comes with pH kits and everything else.
And how much does that cost?
This is 300.
In English.
We also set these up off
That looked like a lot of more perlite than anything in that bag.
much more perlite
Why?
because when the manufacturer sends these over, they use more perlite than they do coconut.
Why?
More flow through.
Is it better?
It depends on what you're growing. I add more coconut to it.
Okay.
So if you notice on my coconut blend,
Okay, that's what my blend looks like.
this is what my blend is.
Be careful your perlite's in this.
Yes. That's okay. You know what perlite costs? Nothing. Yeah, well, yeah, snowy cocaine as well. So everything comes together. We want to take a walk around. VG1 system. And what I do is, because I'm running multiple systems here, I have everything running off of timers for everything. So like I built your box with your timer, it's the same exact thing. The only difference is I've got one timer that the system comes with. It's scheduled to go off 5 times a day for 5 or 6 minutes. I can override it whenever I want by simply just
Like Chevy Chase wiring.
pretty much. And then the system will go off, and I've got them all running for about 5 or 6 minutes apiece, and it just makes life easy, as they say. Or I can bypass the timer, go straight in, and hear everything basically firing up.
Brief showers, getting a little
Well, we'll be done by 11. And I have it. This is, and if you notice, there's also a misting sprinkler system. What? It's on right now. No, not the mister, the towers.
Are your water barrels always uncovered?
No, but I did it today only because I have holes in the top and I feed them through. But this becomes the chemical solution, which is that blue and the white. I call it the 1500 and the 16. And I just put it all together into one so I know I've got the amount that I need. Yeah.
Because it's
Rest-
a drink device as well.
So that I'll do that for the rest of these towers. And as you can see, what ends up happening, and I'm gonna simply unlatch this, but you'll see it delivers through the pump system water through these tubes so that they'll deliver the water straight down through the bottom. Now this is a system that you'll see in about 5 minutes after it goes through, and that's why I set the timer to 5 minutes. By 5 minutes, 6 at the most, depending upon what's in the tower. Those will go much faster on the first row because there's nothing in the towers other than the medium. But since this has a lot of stuff to go through, it might take 30 seconds longer, but you'll see it start dripping out on the bottom. You'll see that in about 5 minutes. And that's the drip out. Okay?
There is no return.
There is no return on this.
So that's why this bucket lasts a week.
Correct. This system, the one I showed you over there, and I've got 2 here, and the reason I have 2 here that are separate from the original setup is because, again, if I'm wanting to do, and I will do them, strawberries come November, I do them on the individual tower so as to bypass all this other stuff because I need the pH to be much lower. And I can control this individually because this is a return to
This is a
sender.
reclaim system.
So in there is the pump, which goes all the way up to the top, to the bubbler, and then I just set the bubbler mechanism.
Now, do you still change that water weekly, or do you just adjust that?
I just adjust it.
So that's the difference between the 2 systems. That's a wasted system. This is a reclaim
system.
Although,
And I might change the water out when I change the tower.
understood.
So right
during
now,
new planting.
so mustard greens.
Leave it alone. Ma'am?
I've never had that.
Wow.
Yeah, eat it, taste it.
Strong coming at you.
It's gonna be strong.
It's almost like a horseradish.
Yeah. But
Oh wow,
It's got a
it tastes
kick, bro.
delicious.
Oh yeah, at the end. Oh yeah.
For people like me that like spice.
Like horseradish.
okay, so let's
Yeah.
talk.
you
Let's
took
talk
this
about the produce that you guys all get when you go to the grocery store. You don't need any, because again, anything that we grow that's here, and I just picked it, you can't get any fresher.
Yeah.
What you get in the grocery store,
Too much, huh?
too much.
Oh please.
Well,
That will
wait till you have the arugula when it
That
becomes.
will
Yeah.
Because that is mustard greens.
mustard green.
With the spice?
No, but in probably the first week, second week of November, we usually have a Saturday little pickup here where we'll walk around and we'll just kind of cut and go and do and boom and bop.
That's the
So you
dinosaur
can start
can.
seeing the water dropping.
That's the dino can.
This would be nice
I
to
love that
garnish
can.
with.
There you go.
It's so
There you
delicious.
go.
What is this one?
You tell me.
I grew the dino kale in my
Also like
balcony
kale, yeah.
for more than a year. I had.
Is this
salad
one
from
spicy?
kale.
Nope.
No, this one is
That's
Dinosaur
neutral.
kale.
That's gentle.
Really like sweet and
Now eat them
Kale is
together.
usually
Wait.
much more bitter than
together.
this.
really.
We have a whole salad here.
Yeah, it was
Much
We
better.
will. That's the whole idea.
And the
I
kale,
thought I would take
Ian,
my lettuce.
can I comment on something?
Yeah.
The kale, that one, especially the dino kale, I grew it in my balcony
Yeah.
for more than a year.
Over a year, straight through. And
Unbelievable. I had salad from that kale.
Again, I've got. Well, cilantro won't grow yet. It's
No.
too hot. But if it tastes like soap. But if you go through and you look, I mean, I'm even experimenting growing papaya over here. I've got plenty.
It's a tree.
I know, but I'll transfer it. Seedling got in there. But if you start to look, I don't know what people like as far as heat and peppers. The hot peppers are starting to come in. My jalapenos are starting to come in.
Let me see you bite that.
Now you see all the dripping through the bottom?
Yes.
That's what we want, and that's done. So we're gonna go look, see, little baby.
What are these? Jalapenos?
These are jalapenos. You guys eat jalapenos?
Yes.
Not
Like
raw.
spicy.
Is this what you would consider organic?
Yeah, all organic.
Very mild.
All organic.
Yeah.
Only because I do
And
not
the
use
flavor
any
is totally
pesticides.
Stay off the seeds.
Everything is plant-based. So even that stuff, those nutrients,
I have a question.
are all plant-based nutrients. The salt, calcium is salt. Mine is salt.
I've taken a clipping from my basil
Yep.
and rooted
Super
it.
mild.
And when I
Not even
take
that
the
spicy.
rooting and put it in the soil, it dies.
No, what you want to do is how long has the root been festering?
I mean, they're long.
Are you putting it into a tower?
No.
Put it into a tower.
Oh, okay.
So
They died in the soil.
if you guys want to carefully follow me
Go ahead.
through, here is the method of my madness for tomato plants. So if you notice, I plant these tomato plants, and this is what you should, because you have the towers. I removed, all of these towers have a 4 system. Those will have a 5. They're going to be for lettuces. You see how there's 5 towers? 5 buckets. Yours are 6, I think. I think you have 6 of these buckets.
Okay.
Here there are only 3. See the 4, 5, 3.
Okay.
And I planted only 2 tomatoes in each one on the outside corners.
Okay.
And I planted them so that they're going to start to droop as they start to develop their fruit. Because I want
Intentionally.
not only intentionally, but if you come over to this guy has on him
Wait.
some weights on the fishing line.
Just wait.
Just wait.
Just wait.
Just so it helps it start its process. And this variety is a patio tomato, which will be about the size of a ping pong ball. I don't want to grow anything larger than that on a tower. These, as you can see, are already naturally starting to creep.
And you
What
want
is the
you want
purpose
them
of
to be
wanting
long?
them?
I want them to be long like this.
So the purpose of making them lay down is to enhance its growth length.
And this is a tomato. So this won't grow as big as this guy will. So this guy, as you can start to see, I've got flowering already starting, tomatoes already starting to set, but they're always drooping downward.
I've had soil plants that droop down the tomato, but right there where it droops at, where it meets the
Pot?
yeah, it starts to get too dry or break or something sometimes. What do I do about that?
That's when I will take a little stick or a little piece of bamboo.
Okay.
I've been using this season the little shim boards that you get at Home Depot, the little cedar.
out for them?
I have one right over there.
A roof shim?
Yeah, roofs, but not a roof, but just a little table shim. They're right there on that tower right there, right behind you. You see them?
Yeah.
And I'll sit steady.
Oh, okay.
And then these are ridiculously hot. These are ridiculously hot, but they're taking longer. See, but I still have, I put a bamboo stick here originally. So then I harvested these little guys. So I can let them get as big as I want, or as 5 weeks. 5 weeks.
5 weeks old.
That baby right there is 5 weeks old.
Enjoy to have breakfast.
Enjoy,
Have an
exactly.
egg with a little.
But it's still dripping out on the bottom. So the bottom I will put in bigger product, depending upon what I want to grow. Now I'm not going to grow things I know the iguanas are going to come eat. So I'll probably grow eggplants on the
Is that
bottom.
rain?
No, that is the tower water dripping to the bottom.
No, that's rain.
It is raining?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're
You're
underneath.
talking about actually in the base?
In the base.
Okay.
So Ian, if I want to grow tomatoes, I should just use the top.
Just use the top 3, and then don't even
only
worry
plant on each side.
on each side. And
So you'll have a baby plant for me. I can do that.
you're going to have them.
Okay. I don't do this.
And then what I usually do is I'll take the medium out,
Yes.
put the tomato plant as deep as I can,
And then add
add the medium.
Okay.
Carefully. So these are my little rafting tables. And how I make the little beds that you saw over there, what I do is I basically get one of these boards that they sell at Home Depot. I've got the hole cutter. I make as many as I want. I like to only keep as big as this, because as I switch them out, I want to be able to carry them. They just sit on the floating tables, just like these, and I'll transfer them back and forth during the day, just so that they get the right amount of nutrition. And then here, we'll have more of them that are ready to transfer up. So I'll take these and I'm going to go into these cups here later today, which is exactly what I did over there. And this is baby red Russian kale. So technically, for a chef, if I were to go take this and garnish my plates, microgreens.
And it's more concentrated.
Much more concentrated in terms of flavor and nutrition.
Like the mustard green?
So I would, if I was going to have like a little salad with these things, those things are exactly that. Was this to the tower? So all I'm going to basically do is, and it's not going to be today because after this, I got my football game. But you see, I'll take them.
Go Gators.
Root. See? And I'll put this right into the tower. One per little hole. One per little triangle. And it's going to grow for a year, and I'm going to keep taking leaves. Now, I won't plant them in the beds anymore. That's why I expanded the hydro. This, oh boy. I can hear all. That is eggplant. And I have seeds for you for your, I only grow black, this is a black eggplant. You could see what happens is they were this big.
That's what I have, right?
You have this. I stepped them up into the 4-inch pot. This developed, this is about a 6-week-old plant. And then I sell these. So this is what I actually have in the front. I actually have these planted on the other side of the house. Again, different sun.
Iguanas don't like that.
They hate these. They don't eat them.
I'll take a dozen.
You know who likes them though? The raccoons.
Those are not an issue at this point.
Okay. Well,
How about rats?
No, they don't like them. They'll like the fruit. So what I'll usually do is, again, on all my stuff, I'll pick earlier than the normal guy. So like Wendy, your eggplants right now, she has little baby black eggplants, so probably the size of my hand. For me, that's perfect. I don't need a big, huge. I like them. Like, you don't have an issue with stuff. You can grow them.
It's less seeded.
Less seeded.
Actually, it would have more flesh.
Much more flesh, yes. And then all I do is I'll take it, quarter it, roast it, and we'll eat it like that. And we eat a lot of eggplant. She, the wife, hates the Chinese eggplant.
I was just going to mention that.
They have a kick to spice to it.
Don't ask me.
So creamy.
Don't ask me. I love them. I know.
I take them and I
She doesn't like
The
them.
Thai eggplant, right? She doesn't,
and tempura.
So again, just more basil,
Turn them into a fan and then.
more peppers, and then these are cucumbers. Cucumbers.
Mine burnt up in the sun.
I don't like cucumbers. I just have them when people ask me for cucumbers. I got, your school's getting cucumbers this week. So, and then as I said, I also grow all the regular stuff in the beds, but I've kind of gotten away from the greens in the beds because it grows much faster in the towers, and the iguanas don't like tomatoes.
I'm trying to get away from the ground beds because bending is overrated.
Bending is overrated, and then you have to, as in your case, replace the beds every couple of years. So I've been doing the investment into the towers. It just makes my life that much easier.
Well, I found that the plastic, it's almost like PVC board. It never rots.
Well, you can get the PVC boards. Those are good, but they're more expensive.
True, but I don't have to replace
What
it.
makes up those PVC
Chemical.
Seeps into the
Yeah, that's
soil.
well, not the
It's
plastic.
much better than this, which is
Treated.
No, this is not treated.
Okay.
I don't use any treated wood.
well, because untreated wood will last even less.
Of course, that's my
When
point.
you use any treated wood, even though they don't use the same product, you must cover it so it doesn't leach into your soil.
Ian,
Right?
what do you think about using hot peppers in order for the walnuts not to come?
They'll come.
So they don't care about the hot pepper because I know the
You
bunnies.
put a couple of little machine guns.
No, the hot cayenne pepper.
These are cayenne,
Okay, so.
and they still come. No, they're cayenne, little cayenne and jalapeno. But they'll still come. That's why I've got this.
Bunnies don't come if there's cayenne pepper around the plant. But
What I'll do is I'll sprinkle cayenne pepper itself around the plants.
We have bunnies here. I've never seen
Anywhere.
Florida. Very few. Especially in the domestic area. Yeah.
My neighborhood where I used to live, there was a
those are cayenne?
These are little jalapenos. But what I'll do is I'll take cayenne pepper and I'll sprinkle it around the beds
They've learned.
so that when they get it on their feet, they scratch their eye.
Ah, that's it.
But they'll eat these leaves if I don't cover them.
Yeah.
But like you said, plant the stuff around it that they don't like.
That's it. That is tarragon. Mexican tarragon. So it's great with chicken.
I grew this last
But you
year.
see-
and
Can I smell it? 'Cause I
didn't
never
survive.
smelled it.
It's really pretty. It was for me.
Oh.
Yeah, that smells so nice.
It goes well with chicken.
I don't like that one.
Horseradish.
Tarragon.
It's
Mexican
just a
tarragon.
variety of
Mexican
mustard
tarragon.
green seed that I plant. So if you like some, I'll give you some seed.
It's Mexican tarragon.
Well, that's nice.
It's sweet. Let me have aloe vera too if you're interested. Yeah, if anybody's interested, we have aloe vera too. I want to get the, you have the magic, is it black magic?
Still standing. One is still standing. Now he's convinced me just to go with basic pots. This is just
See the roots from that cutting?
Yeah.
weeds and breaking our backbone.
So 3 different types. All of that. So that's that one. What do I do when I have issues with bugs? This every 2 or 3 days. And what I do is I put it in a pump sprayer. But I actually have one that I have a machine. It's like not a, is it a pump sprayer, but it's a pressure washer off of a hose. The hose will go in a bucket.
Comes with force. Right.
So on that, I'll add that to the mix,
Okay.
neem oil in that, and I'll have a pressure gun. I just go
And what
around
is the name of the other thing that you put in?
the gun,
No, the neem
neem
oil.
oil. I just use neem oil, but if I find that I have bugs, like
My problem is
hornworms,
the white fly.
that's the white fly.
Because I have been using neem oil, soap.
You don't even need the soap, but make
And-
sure that when you get the neem oil, you're getting the neem oil that's triple action. The one if you get it at Home Depot.
No, I got it somewhere else in nursery.
Did you get it from the sister?
No.
He has it.
Okay. Because
Tell
mine
him,
is already like that.
Tell him you want the one, or I'll sell. I get it from him.
Yeah.
So just tell him I want the one Ian gets. And then when it's time for bug, physical larva, or a beetle, or a caterpillar,
I tell you, my problem is it's like a white fuzzy. It looks like spider.
it's a mite.
Yeah, it looks like spider mites because they.
3. You see, it's
And when you go like this, it's like you see the.
strand.
The string.
Yeah, it's a yeah.
So those are the spider mites,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
And you got to do up and down, and side to
Oh,
side.
yeah. I sometimes even watch in my cilantro. They go on the.
Yeah, that's what
leaf.
I was going to show everybody. I just have cilantro growing somewhere everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't grow cilantro.
I took pictures of my balcony to show
it's
you and
easy
tell
to-
me.
hope you guys enjoyed today's class. We spoke a lot about hydroponics. We had a couple people ask some very good questions. And hopefully if you have any questions, again, you've got the website, you've got the email address. Send me a quick hello and you too can be growing hydroponically easily and efficiently.
Visit the Gourmet Gardeners website at www.thegourmetgardeners.org/home.html. Thanks for watching this Adventurous Kids episode.